Fender Rhodes piano versus the Wurlitzer piano. These are two different pianos and that make very different sounds. But they are often compared, so let's have some fun and compare them both. Previously I created a video that compares the sound of each of these pianos, and in this video I'm going to look at the features rather than the actual sound that characteristically is produced, or how the instrument plays and feels. So let's get into this. This is my opinion. I'm sure everyone will have their own, but here's number one: tone controls. If we look at the stage version of the Fender Rhodes piano, this has two controls, volume and tone. This tone circuit is very similar to guitar's tone circuit controls, and is one of the simplest audio filtering circuits you can get. The circuit features a variable resistor, a capacitor to ground. Capacitors have a feature that allows alternating currents to pass through them if the frequency is higher than what relates to the capacitance size. Having a capacitor between the signal and the ground allows higher frequency sounds to be filtered out. The variable resistor allows the user to control how much this signal is filtered out, and this allows the user to control the sound of the instrument to some degree. Where the Wurlitzer piano, it doesn't feature any tone control at all. It produces a sound and you have to deal with it, that's it. So I'm going to give a point to Fender Rhodes for the tone control feature. So 1-0 to the Fender Rhodes. Number 2, vibrato. Now this is actually tremolo, but it's labelled vibrato, and Fender do the same thing with their amplifiers and preamp. So let's stick with that naming. The Wurlitzer comes standard with a vibrato control, and I think it's a really nice effect and adds a little sparkle to the sound. The stage model Fender Rhodes only features volume and tone controls, and I think to me the vibrato is such a characteristic effect associated with electric pianos that it's key to include it. The Fender Rhodes suitcase piano does come with a more complex preamplifier, which does feature better tone controls and a vibrato, but this is not standard, so I'm going to have to give Wurlitzer the point for this one. So Fender Rhodes 1, Wurlitzer 1. Back to level points. Number 3 is the case. Now, most things are subjective, but one feature I enjoy about the Fender Rhodes is it comes built into its own hard case, ready to move or be stored if required. If you want to gig this piano, you simply put the lid on and you can hit the road. If you're not going to use the piano for a while, the lid can kind of get in the way, but if you put it on top of the piano, it protects it and it acts as a dust cover. The Wurlitzer piano doesn't feel so gig ready, it always feels exposed. If you, like me, have a small studio, things are always getting moved around, and I'd hate to damage the Wurlitzer, and I feel like out of the two, that would be the one that's most likely. So I'm going to have to give Fender Rhodes a point here. Number 4, amplifier. So the stage Fender Rhodes piano doesn't come with an amplifier, and it's a lot like an electric guitar, that it needs something else to create sound. This can be great as you're free to control what happens to that signal and come up with your own tones. From being lucky enough to own both of these pianos at once, there is something great about only having to plug in the Wurlitzer and instantly make sound. You don't need to find an amplifier, you don't need to plug it in and find cables. And once more, the Fender Rhodes did come in a suitcase model that did feature an amp. But as these are rarer than the stage version, I think it's only fair to give Wurlitzer the point here. So 2 points for Fender Rhodes, 2 points for Wurlitzer. Number 5, weight. Now, what you do with your piano is up to you, and all of these points may not be important to you as the same way they are to me. But weight is one of those ones that's hard to avoid. At some point you'll want or need to move your piano. If you want to move your studio about, or want to go to a gig, or just want to move house, the Fender Rhodes suitcase or stage model is a 2-person job. The Wurlitzer can easily be moved by one person, though admittedly it is awkward. So on the weight front, I think Wurlitzer's going to get another point here. So 2 points to Fender Rhodes, 3 points to Wurlitzer. Number 6, serviceability. Not sure if this is strictly a feature, but a benefit. The Fender Rhodes features simple electronics and mechanicals, which allows for a lot of owners to work on their own pianos and complete small repairs. The Wurlitzer electronics are a little bit more complex, and the same goes for the mechanicals. There are definitely some advantages that the complex system has, though these are vintage instruments and they will require regular maintenance, so sometimes simpler has its moment, and on this one I'm going to give the Fender Rhodes a point, so we're at 3 points all. Number 7, headphones. Sometimes you want to play loud, other times you just want to practice. Even when unplugged, these pianos aren't really that quiet. They still make a good amount of acoustic noise, and the clicks and taps of these keys are transmitted through floors and walls. But it is nice to have the option to use headphones to practice with. With a standard stage model Fender Rhodes, there's only instrument level out, so an additional piece of hardware is needed to get headphones working. With the Wurlitzer piano, it features a headphone socket as standard, and to be honest, I do enjoy this feature and use it quite regularly. So the point goes to the Wurlitzer on this one. So number 8, handles. Okay, so this is not a very exciting point, I'll put my hand up, but when moving my Wurlitzer piano, it just feels wrong. Where am I supposed to hold it? The plastic case is quite flexible, and I would dread having to buy a replacement one as it's so rare. Holding it by the front feels like the keys are taking some force and load. It just doesn't feel right to me. On the other hand, the Fender Rhodes is littered with handles, which just feels right when moving it. The extra weight and strength of the Fender Rhodes is actually quite reassuring when moving it. The piano doesn't feel so delicate. It almost feels like the Fender Rhodes could fall down a set of stairs and I could still play it once you reassemble it at the bottom. Where with the Wurlitzer, you're just going to have dust and possibly toothpicks. Don't worry, I don't plan to test this, but the point's going to go to the Fender Rhodes. So this brings us to 4 points apiece. So the final point is arguably the least subjective point, and that is the range. So the most common configuration of the Fender Rhodes piano features 73 notes. The Wurlitzer only features 64 notes. It's rare that I use these extra notes, but it is a bonus to have them when needed. So therefore, the Fender Rhodes takes a point and the overall win. So 5 points to the Fender Rhodes, 4 points to the Wurlitzer. Okay, so this video is just meant to be a bit of fun comparing the two pianos. Some points such as lightweight come at a cost, such as other features such as robustness, and having so many handles built into the case will increase the weight. Not featuring a built-in amp and effects allows for user control using external effects and tools. I was tempted to include the size of the piano as in both, as the Wurlitzer does have a significantly smaller footprint than the Fender Rhodes piano. I think it is quite complex to compare these two pianos, but I hope if you are considering one or the other that your main comparison point is the sound, as they do sound quite different. If you somehow are tied and want to look at these other features, then yeah, I hope this video did give you some ideas of what's important and what someone who owns one enjoys from each of the pianos when comparing them side by side. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what I got wrong, and until next time,